Hey guys, Tom here from the Run Testers. In this video, we've got all 4 of the Run Testers trying out Saucony's Ride 13 shoe. Let's take a look and see what we all thought. So the Ride 13, as you probably guessed from the name, is the latest in a long series of shoes that are one of Saucony's most popular for daily training. And it's had a few updates made to it in this most recent version of the shoe. Probably the most noticeable feature in the shoe is this PWRRUN midsole that runs all the way across. There's also a blown rubber outsole, which has something called Triflex technology, which is essentially this kind of flexible groove system that it's got here. There's also an updated mesh upper designed for a better fit and more comfort and breathability. And it has some quite nice squishy laces at the top, which other people in the video are probably going to mention. But first, let's just run through the stats of the shoe. It's going to cost you £125 in the UK or $130 in the US. It comes in at 277 grams for men, which is 9.7 ounces. That's also 244 grams for women, which is 8.6 ounces. It's a road shoe, it's a neutral shoe, and there's an 8mm drop.
In terms of fit, I found that the Ride 13 fit true to size for me. It's the same size I take in all Saucony shoes. It's pretty comfortable. It's designed as a training shoe. There's plenty of room there. There's good padding around the kind of tongue and collar. So it's easy to get quite a nice snug fit that's comfortable to rack up a lot of miles in.
So I've now put in about 50 miles in the Saucony Ride 13. Just want to talk to you a little bit about fit. I've used a UK 8.5, which is my size, and I think they come up true to size. So I would go normal size. There's good kind of lockdown over the kind of the midfoot, over the top of the uppers. There's a nice sort of padding in the sort of heel is cradled nicely and stays in position. I think there's loads of room in the toe box, which I really like. And overall, these are sort of some of the comfiest shoes that I've slipped on in a long time. The minute they're on your foot, they just feel like a really nice warm hug, which is great. What I mean by that is, there's some shoes that we've tested recently that you just haven't really looked forward to putting on. I'm going to say On Cloud Boom, Nike Tempo. Those shoes where you're sort of a little bit dreading putting them on. These, you're just looking forward to putting these on when you're going to go for a run. They are just super comfortable from that point of view immediately when you put them on the foot.
Okay, so in terms of the fit for me, the Ride 13, I run in an 8. This is an 8, and I would say, well, for me it was true to size. I didn't really have any major issues in terms of the fit and in terms of it being generally just a very comfortable shoe to run in. I have quite narrow feet, and I think you've got a lot of space up front here. I think this upper is nice and light. These laces are interesting, so you've got these they're quite springy, spongy laces, which definitely adds to the comfort kind of factor with this shoe. I personally would prefer something that kind of pulls you in a bit tighter in terms of that lace area. Now, Saucony do add an extra pair of laces which kind of feel differently to these kind of spongier ones, so if you wanted to do that, you do have that option. Generally for me, I found these really comfortable in all the runs that I did. I didn't have any issues, I didn't have any kind of awkward kind of crampness or tightness or kind of uncomfortable feeling on the toe. So for me, Ride 13, fit wise, yeah, pretty good for me, no real issues.
The fit for me has been really good. It fits true to size. I'm an 8. And it's fine. One thing I did notice about it is it's quite roomy. It's not a narrow shoe at all. I don't have particularly wide feet. It feels like there's a lot of room in there, but it doesn't feel so roomy that it's not secure and stable when you're running in it. You can get a nice lockdown fit. So there's a nice mix of comfort and cushioning and kind of space in there, but it does feel secure and locked down when you've got them on and you're running in them.
So I've put in well over 50 miles in the Saucony Ride 13, and for me the run has been fantastic actually. I've really enjoyed this shoe. From that kind of power run cushioning, it's not too cushioned, but kind of just right for those runs that might be kind of easy up to middling pace, and sometimes if you want to push on a clip. I found these form fit uppers to be fantastic as well. They hug the foot in the right places. They are super comfortable when you first put the shoe on, and it kind of just feels really natural, really comfy. It's the kind of shoe that I found that I've really wanted to go back and run again. You know, there's quite a lot of sort of really sort of comfy cushioning up here around that heel collar, and that makes the heel sort of sit tight in here, but actually without pinching, it's like sitting on a really comfy sofa in the back there. That 8mm offset has been sort of perfect for doing those kind of longer, sort of easier, sort of slower runs. And I just think there's versatility in this shoe. This is one of Saucony's kind of biggest selling franchises overall. That's why it's gone to number 13. They're making them over and over again. And this one, I think, is a fantastic edition of this shoe. For me, the run really is all about, you know, that versatility. You can use this for those really soft and easy runs. So Saucony told us that these are made basically to be cushioned for those longer runs, but also responsive for those slightly faster runs. But with that versatility built in, it's supposed to be an all-rounder shoe, and that is exactly how I found it. I've really enjoyed it when I'm not really sure how I was going to run, so I'm not really sure I was going to do a targeted session. I was just going to go out and see how I got on a Sunday, maybe doing a long run where if I felt like it, I might clip up the pace. And this is a shoe that you can do that in all day long. It kind of just has that sort of really nice, don't worry sort of feel to it. Put it on, and if you fancy going faster, it will cope. If you really need to go slower and go steady, it will cope. There's a nice firmness underfoot. There's a superb sort of comfort, and all round I've been really impressed with this. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that Power Run foam. Again, Saucony told us that this has been designed to sort of rebound a little bit better, which gives you 4% extra kind of energy return. It's certainly, you know, what I really liked about it, and some runners might not like this, it doesn't run soft and pillowy and marshmallowy and squishy like some of the shoes that we've seen in recent times. Actually, far from it, it's a little bit firmer, and actually I think that makes for a much nicer run. You're not going to get necessarily all the bounce back, but I really like that there's a decent feeling of kind of ground contact about you sort of being in control with the shoe as well, that you don't get on some of the really softer, squishier, spongier shoes out there. And I guess another design detail here you can see is, you know, there's an awful lot of padding here around the heel collar, also in the tongue. It's nice and squishy and soft, and that even sort of carries over into these sort of thick laces. Everything is almost designed to make you feel like you're slipping back into a really nice sort of comfy sort of luxury car, and that is exactly how these shoes sort of feel on the run. You really do want to put them on, I think, and take them out, particularly when you're not feeling at your best. That said, they can cope with you wanting to run faster. I've done some really good miles in this. I ran a marathon in them, and when I wanted to run 6:40-minute miles, which is sort of at the moment at my higher end of the pace, they coped. When I wanted to drop back to doing kind of 8s, 9s, 10s, they were there for that as well.
So just because there's been so many shoes out recently to review, I haven't done as many kind of miles as I normally would in the Ride 13 to kind of test out a shoe, but I have done kind of 3 easy runs between kind of 30 and 60 minutes and a kind of steady 10k in kind of like 38 minutes, just to kind of put a bit of speed through it, see how it feels for that. And all in all, it's a pretty good shoe. It's got reasonably firm ride, I think, but it's comfortable to kind of log regular training in. It was fine on light trails as well as the road. I think there's a good amount of grip there. I think it's going to be durable. It didn't feel amazing for a tempo run, but it didn't feel bad. It didn't feel like it was. It does feel reasonably heavy, but it's quite responsive. I think it'd be a perfectly good shoe to do kind of tempo training as well as all your kind of base and easy runs and maybe even recovery runs too. All in all, it's quite a nice shoe. I've enjoyed running in it, but I think there are certainly things that I'd reach for ahead of it for pretty much every kind of run, really.
I've done about 80 miles in the Ride 13 so far, and I think it's a really nice all-round shoe. I've been using it as a daily trainer. I've been using it for slow training runs up to about 23k. I've used it for faster, shorter runs, and today I even used it for a 10k race, so I wanted to see how it delivered if I was going full pelt. In all instances there, it delivers very well. For the kind of longer training runs, it doesn't feel as cushioned as something like the Brooks Glycerin 18, but it does feel a bit more responsive. So it manages to deliver that kind of nice balance between cushioning and responsiveness. Neither is massively noticeable. In fact, the first few times I wore this, I thought it felt a bit harder than what I'd expected it to feel like with this amount of cushioning on it. But after wearing it a few times, it does feel cushioned, but quite subtly. So you don't really notice it. But by the end of the run, you realise that you have had quite a bit of cushioning in that run, and it does deaden the impact quite a bit as you're going. For faster runs, it works really well up to a point. So, say tempo training, it delivers very well. But on the 10k run I did today, and with me pushing it to my max, it did feel a bit slower than I expect. And it isn't a race shoe; it really is a training shoe. So when you're going up to those, full max out races, it doesn't have quite the responsiveness that I wanted. But as a training shoe, it delivers really well across all formats that I've used it for.
Okay, so in terms of running performance for me, now I've done about 40 to 50 miles in these now, and that's been a mix of kind of quicker 5k, 10k runs. I've just gone out and just got some miles in. I've done some kind of longer hour runs where it's kind of tempo runs. And what I would say, the thing that really stands out with this shoe is that I never really felt it let me down in any of those sessions, and I think it's got that versatility where if you want to go a bit quicker, you can do that in the shoe. Now, it's not explosive, and we're kind of spoiled in terms of the kind of racing shoes that we've been able to test, but I do think you can get some decent speed out of these. And crucially for me, it feels very consistent in those runs. You can get that kind of even pace, and I think that's a really kind of attractive thing about this shoe. If you want to go quicker but consistently quick in a run, I think this is a really good shoe to do that in. I've taken it off-road, and I'm not sure I would do that much more. I think it maybe is not best suited to those kind of technical kind of routes where you're kind of maybe turning a bit more and having to think a bit more with your running. I kind of view it as a shoe that really sits well in terms of you've got a big long stretch of roads, like a long Sunday run, and this feels like a really good shoe and a good fit for runs like that. And that's kind of where I saw I really appreciated it most, where you've got those longer runs where you're just kind of out running and you can get a bit of speed without really noticing it. So yes, running performance for me generally, really impressed. Think it works well for a range of different kind of running sessions, and really impressed.
My verdict for the Ride 13 is that it's just a brilliant all-round shoe. It really does. Say you wanted one pair of shoes to go running in for just a really nice, comfortable 10k out the house, and you didn't really want to go for any specific speed, it's really comfortable for that. But it also feels like you can kind of pick up the pace. If you're doing tempo runs, it's nice. It's responsive enough to do those well, but cushioned enough to keep you happy if you do want a fair bit of cushioning in your shoe. For races, it will do the job. I think it will probably deliver quite well, maybe at marathon distance where you're not going all out and you're going for the distance. For shorter, faster races, it's not quite as responsive as I'd like. So I think if you're a person looking for a really fast race shoe, you're probably going to need this as a daily trainer and then a race shoe as well. But overall, it's a really good shoe, and I'd probably stick it into my rotation against most other all-round shoes. Alternatives for me would be the Nike Pegasus Turbo, which actually comes in quite a bit more expensive than this, but you can get it a lot cheaper now. So I would probably say that the Pegasus trumps it for me if you can get it at the same price. But obviously this is cheaper at an RRP. Maybe the Hoka Rincon, which comes in at under £100 I think at the moment, or around £100, which feels quite similar to this in terms of the level of cushioning and the responsiveness.
Okay, so should you buy the Saucony Ride 13? Now, obviously, my shoe rotation is very different to the other guys in the team. I run predominantly barefoot. You know, my shoes are mostly dominated by minimalist shoes. But if I was looking for a bit more cushioning, something that I could just kind of pick up and just go out and run, do some miles, do some quicker stuff if I wanted to when I got out of there, this is a really good shoe for that, I think. And I think if you're looking for one shoe to kind of fit a lot of different sessions, this is a shoe I would definitely recommend for that. And I think you're probably going to hear that from other guys in the team. I think we've kind of agreed on that fact that while, you know, you're not getting an amazing shoe or the best shoe out there, I think it offers enough in terms of what you get, in terms of performance, in terms of the fit and the comfort, which kind of collectively makes this a really solid kind of shoe to consider and worth, you know, spending money on. My only other thing is, you know, while I'm a fan of very leery colourways, I'm not sure if I'm a massive fan of this one. It'd be nice to see some maybe more muted colours. I mean, I still love the splashy colour, but I think, yeah, something a little bit less out there. But colourway aside, really solid shoe. I was a big fan, and yeah, I definitely recommend. And I think Saucony have got a good, solid, versatile running shoe here.
So the Ride 13 feels like kind of a classic do-it-all shoe in that, you know, it's built for kind of everything. It's big, comfortable, cushioned, can handle all your base mileage, can do a little bit of tempo running. But I don't know, I feel like there's just better shoes available at the moment. I think although it's kind of reasonably well priced at £125, I do prefer the feel of the Nike Pegasus 37 as a do-it-all shoe, and that's £20 cheaper. I think that's just as good as this on every front, maybe a little bit quicker. It's got a lot of grip on the outsole. I know some people just don't get on with Nike's React foam at all, which is used in that, so they might prefer this. It's a bit firmer, maybe more responsive, but I do like the React foam. I've always liked it in all the Nike shoes. And I think if you just looking kind of better do-it-all options out there and you're prepared to spend a bit more money, then I actually think the Saucony Endorphin Speed is my favourite kind of do-it-all trainer. Even though it's marketed as a fast trainer, I found that it's pretty durable. I've enjoyed doing slow runs in it as well as speed training, and I think you could race in that as well. I wouldn't really love to race in the Ride 13. Okay, it's marketed as like, you know, training shoe to log lots of miles in, but I don't think it has that all-out pace. So I think even at its price point, I think it's kind of outgunned both above and below. It's a nice shoe, but I don't find it really, really comfortable, so I wouldn't go for it for easy runs ahead of like the Brooks Glycerin 18. I think it's more comfortable. I think the Pegasus 37 is more comfortable. I also think the Pegasus is quicker. Something like the Pegasus Turbo, although that's obviously been replaced now, is a better all-round trainer as well, I think. So yeah, I just think it's a good shoe, but I think there's just better options out there right now.
So my personal verdict on the Saucony Ride 13, I've really loved these shoes. I would totally recommend them. They are a shoe that could fit easily into my rotation, that I'm happy to find on the floor before I go out for a run. I think that, you know, then yes, that you're not going to run a marathon PB in these necessarily, or that's not really a shoe that you would go to. But if you're going to go out and run a long distance, a marathon where you're not really in your best form, these would be a really great shoe to go for actually. They're very, very forgiving. There is response when you need it. And I think just for pure versatility, if you were only going to buy one shoe this year and you wanted something that was going to be able to cope with all the different runs that you might do, I think this would be actually a really, really good shoe, a worthwhile one to have on your list to take a closer look at.
So that's it from all four of the run testers talking through the Saucony Ride 13 shoe. Don't forget to like, subscribe and click the little bell, and check out all the other videos we've got on the channel, because we've got absolutely loads featuring the latest running shoes coming out, as well as all of the newest headphones and watches that you can buy to make your running a little bit more enjoyable. Thanks a lot for watching. Catch you later, guys.